Authorities in the US state of Texas have been given the go-ahead to arrest people suspected of illegally entering the country. The Supreme Court decision allowing the state to enforce its controversial border law comes as immigration numbers rise, which Republicans blame on the Biden administration. The White House argues that border policing is a matter for federal authorities, with opponents of the Texas legislation warning of rights violations and racial profiling. For more on this now, we can cross to our Washington reporter, Ferenc Gal. Ferenc, good to see you. Can you explain why this particular decision is so significant?
Today's Supreme Court ruling, while it is important to stress that it is still temporary, is definitely significant as it shifts power to shape immigration law in the US from the federal to the state level, and that ahead of an election where immigration issues will be front and center of the campaign. And it also reflects a broader trend of the Supreme Court to give more autonomy to states as opposed to the federal level, which we have seen also in the past couple of years. And that raises questions for the future about what will lie within the power of the federal government and within the power of individual states, respectively.
OK, so from federal to state, but what does this concretely mean for migrants?
The law essentially makes illegal immigration a state-level crime, and that means state and local police will have the authority to arrest anyone they suspect of having crossed the border into Texas illegally. These people could then be charged in a state court and could even be ordered to return to Mexico, and this is regardless of whether they are at the border or even hundreds of miles north of the border, as critics have noted. And in reaction to this, actually, Mexico's top diplomat for North America has already said that his government, he has said this on social media, that his government will not accept any repatriations from the US, but will instead be continuing negotiations on the federal level with the federal government. So it definitely creates some uncertainty, or like more than some uncertainty, for the estimated 1.6 million undocumented immigrants in Texas.
OK, Ferenc, let's talk a little bit about how the decision came to happen. The three Liberal judges on the Supreme Court dissented from this decision. What were their arguments?
Yes, so one of the dissenting judges, Justice Sotomayor, said in her dissenting opinion that the court with this ruling invites further chaos and crisis in immigration enforcement at the southern border. And she also noted that the law upends the federal and state balance that has been in power in the United States for over 100 years. Importantly, she also noted that this ruling has the potential to disrupt the US's foreign relations, which seems to be confirmed by the comments of the Mexican diplomat that we talked about earlier.
Ferenc, tell us, what's the White House had to say about this?
The White House has come out with a statement immediately after the ruling and said it fundamentally disagrees with what it calls a harmful and unconstitutional ruling. It says, among other things, that this ruling and this law will make communities along the border and in Texas less safe, and has accused the Republican Party of politicizing the border once again. It also called in its statement on Republican lawmakers to finally pass a bill that the Democratic administration hope will make the border safer and will ease the tension at the border. But the ruling, of course, is a significant setback for the Biden administration, which had brought this court in front of the Supreme Court. And the ruling also foreshadows the possible role of the Supreme Court in the elections later this year, when it might come to a decision between President Joe Biden and former President and current candidate Donald Trump.
OK, that was our Washington reporter, Ferenc Gal there. Ferenc, thanks so much for that.